All right, so I got my boy Sai with me,
Yo, what's up?
and today we're going to be talking about a theory surrounding Zoro and Venus of the Gorosei, aka Samurai Gandhi, aka Ethan Baron V. Nus Joro. So all credit for this theory goes to Writing Panini on Twitter. We also covered one of his threads in a previous video. Really love this guy. He's got another interesting theory here talking about the connection between Venus and Zoro. So I think it's a foregone conclusion that these two are inevitably going to fight. Like, this is one of Zoro's final opponents. Like, I don't know if he's going to fight him before or after Mihawk, but it's going to be around that time. We've also talked about this guy so many times. Pretty interesting character, despite us knowing very little about him. But maybe after this video, we'll have some more insight into him. So, first of all, the thing that is going to give us more insight into him is, of course, something that we usually talk about in these collabs on my channel. And it's the mythology that Oda likes to base One Piece as stories and its characters off of. So, in Hinduism, the gods correlate to planets. And those planets correlate to stones. So, for example, in Hinduism, the god of Saturn, Shani, is correlated to the sapphire stone or the blue stone. And this is what allowed us to get some insight into what was going on with Saturn before it was even revealed that he was involved with sapphire scales. Because in Egghead, we found out that Ginny, the mother of Bonnie, contracted sapphire scales, and that led to her death. And we assumed, oh, it probably has something to do with Saturn because sapphire is associated with Shani, who is Saturn in Hinduism. And it turned out that that was true. Because when Ginny was in Mary Joie, Saturn did some kind of failed experiment on her, chemical experiment, and it led to her having sapphire scales. So, going off of that, we can assume that these other stones that correlate with the gods that the planets are associated with the Gorosei probably have the same kind of correlation. So, if we're looking at Venus, which is, Venus Juro, Shukra in Hinduism, his stone is the diamond. So, diamond probably correlates with Venus in One Piece. So, the first little hint here that was possibly left by Oda was way back in Alabasta when Zoro defeated Das Bones, number 2. And after he defeated him and he was falling down, he was like, "Are you going to cut through diamond next?" And Zoro said that would be such a waste. So, do you think that Oda was putting some foreshadowing there already in the beginning?
I feel like that is definitely the case. And it's crazy that we call it foreshadowing because that happened around chapter 150, 200-ish.
Yeah,
so
I
it's
say
like,
beginning
like,
loosely.
here we are. Yeah. Here we are like 800, 900 chapters later, and we still have not cut Diamond. And the only Diamond-related character we've had so far is Jozu. And what's notable about that is that Mihawk tried to slash Jozu, and he wasn't able to. But of course, you can argue around that, saying that Mihawk wasn't trying to cut him. He was trying to cut Whitebeard, and Jozu just got in the way. So I think there are a lot of ways to play around that. But Diamond is what I think is going to be the next hurdle for Zoro. I don't know if that's going to come before or after getting a Black Blade, but I do believe that Diamond is going to be like a key thing to cut.
Yeah, I mean, it seems logical in the next step of progression. It's very possible that he even gets the Black Blade fighting Venus, and then he, has the Black Blade fresh to go against Mihawk afterwards. But Wano, of course, being the tying factor here, we've been talking about this since the beginning. Venus for sure comes from Wano. Now, that's not confirmed, but come on. He's dressed like somebody from Wano. He has freaking Shodai Kitetsu, which we're going to be talking about. His last name is Juro. So it's like he comes from Wano. I don't care what anybody says. He was probably like a big traitor of Wano, which is why he joined Imu and the world government and all that stuff. Also, another little side funny thing about Juro is that when Zoro was in Wano and he was like had that fake undercover name. His name was Zoro Juro.
Yeah, dude, they're so tied together. Dude, if Ethan Baron v Nasujiro does not fight Zoro, I would actually be shocked. Like, the way I see it, and I know this is a very, like, silly way to look at it, but no joke, everybody on the enemy team that has a sword, they're more than likely going to be a Zoro victim. You know, it happened with King, it happened with all the people in the past. It's going to happen with Ethan. Come on, come on.
Yeah, King didn't even
they
really
were set
need
up for
that
it.
sword. It was almost just like
No.
Oda put the sword there just to show us who Zoro's opponent was going to be.
Yeah. The minute you see the sword, it's like you're like, okay, that's a future Zoro victim right there. Gotcha.
So another thing that could possibly tie Ethan Baron, Venus, to Wano is he is known as the warrior god of finance. He's like a finance bro. And Wano is known as, or at least it was known as, the country of gold. Now that's probably a little connection there. But also going back to Yamato's Makami, devil fruit, since that is the guardian deity of Wano, maybe the Inugami is the opposite. It's like the vengeful one, or the thing that you fear, and it has like curses tied to it. Because we know that there are curses in the swords, right? And we also talked about how it is extremely likely that Venus has the Shodai Kitetsu, which is one of the supreme grade swords. And we first found out about these back in Logue Town when Zoro got his Sandai Kitetsu from that guy who probably came from Wano too, the guy with the Krusty the Clown haircut.
Yeah.
So
I forgot his name.
Yeah, man, that's a great trivia question. Like, what was the guy who gave Zoro Sandai Kitetsu? If you know in the comments, let us know. Comment down below. I'm sure you guys know. Don't use Wikipedia. Has to be off the top of the head. But
I was using Wikipedia as you're saying that.
All right,
I was looking it up like, what's his name again?
What is his name?
Oh, I actually I stopped when you said don't use Wikipedia.
All right, never mind. No, it'll remain a mystery to us still. Okay. So he said that famous swordsmen have died tragic deaths because they wielded the Kitetsu swords. And these days, no one uses it because if they did, they wouldn't be around long. So it's possible that Venus is the one who cursed these swords with, I don't know, his devil fruit magic or whatever magic the Gorosei seemingly have. Telepathy and summoning circles and all that demonic stuff possibly. But it seemingly has to be tied to him in some way. Now, there could be more curses to this stuff too. Maybe with the Shimotsuki family. I don't know, maybe he wanted their gold. This is like, I don't know, we're kind of leaping a lot here. The other stuff was making more sense. I wouldn't say
so. No, I really love the vengeful deity of Wano and the whole god of finance like aspect of it, because Wano being known as the country of gold is silly to me. I remember when we got to Wano, I was expecting like a Gildan town. Did not happen. There's like no gold in Wano. And I was like, wait a minute, like where's all the gold here? We go down to ancient Wano. It's exactly the same as normal Wano. It's like, okay, there's no gold here at all. Maybe it's hidden under a mountain. Maybe they just need to get back to work. Maybe Kaido was looking for the gold. But there is a chance that Ethan Baron v Nasujiro, you know, if he was from the Void Century or if he was around a long time ago, or even his family, maybe they're the ones who took all the gold from Wano and brought it to the Gorosei or brought it to the world government. I feel like that could be pretty solid. And it would be like kind of I guess it would be a nice play that, you know, he's betraying his own country. I don't know. There's a lot of ways that this could go. And I feel like once we get that Void Century lore, we're going to look at Wano and be like, damn, dude. Nasujiro did them dirty.
Oh boy, what a year that's going to be. Void Century flashback. Yeah. Oh, man. But no, I'm on board with this for sure, because like you, I was like, okay, where's this gold? Like Shandora, tons of gold. And that wasn't even called the City of Gold. But Wano, it's nowhere. So, I mean, the finance bro god here, he maybe took it. Maybe it had something to do with Shimotsuki's. The reason why I also want to bring up the Shimotsuki's because it'll be the closing segment here. This could be the ultimate linking factor between Venus and Zoro. So, curses. What if the curse goes farther than just the Kitetsu swords? What if the Shimotsuki family is cursed? Or possibly even Wado Ichimonji, the sword that Zoro received from Kuina herself? Because what if Venus is the reason that Kuina died? Because first of all, let's just call it for what it is. It's kind of nonsensical how she died. Just randomly one day
goofy.
she fell down the steps and she died. Sorry, Zoro, that's it. It's over. The steps
A sword
won.
stronger than Zoro, a
Yeah.
swordsman who could beat adults. She died to a one-story house, or a two-story house, because, like, it wasn't exactly like a skyscraper. It wasn't a giant building. No. She fell down maybe 4 or 5 steps, and she died. I fell down 3 steps the other day, and let me tell you, I had a slight bruise. Like, I was not kicking the bucket. Like, to die to stairs, you would have to land in the most unfortunate ways. You have to hit every railing known to mankind and fall on a knife at the bottom to actually die by that. So the fact that Kuina died in that manner, ridiculous. And I was rewatching One Piece again with a friend, and when they saw that Kuina died, they were making up theories. They said, oh, maybe the dad killed him. Maybe all of the adults that Kuina beat killed her. Because it's just so unbelievable. Like, bringing in a curse for the Shimotsuki family, and that's the reason why she died, just feels better. And it could be a little bit of a retcon, but let me tell you, it would be a well-welcomed retcon, in my opinion. Sorry, that was my rant. I had to go off on that one.
You know, I mean,
that one's been welling up inside of me.
I mean, a lot of us are feeling that. Unless you're like a super Oda Glazer. If you're not in that camp, then you are feeling this about Kuina's death. Because it's, like I said, it's nonsensical. It is what it is, but there has to be more meat to it. There has to be a better reasoning to it than just she fell down D stairs. So, I mean, we already have one instance of Gorosei being tied to a character's death, like, you know, back in the day with Ginny, you know, Sapphire Scale. So if we have Venus either cursing the Wado Ichimonji or the Shimotsuki family themselves, which could possibly lead to Kuina's death here, then that gives Zoro all the more ultimate motivation that he needs to defeat Samurai Gandhi here. And, you know, coming full circle with, if we don't know he's going to defeat him first and then fight Mihawk, I think it would be better if he fights Venus and defeats him first, because then he can get Shodai Kitetsu, and that will be a part of his ultimate line of swords to take on Mihawk. Like, he'll have Wado Ichimonji, he'll have what's Odin's sword called?
Enma.
And then he has Shodai Kitetsu. Like, that's his final ultimate level of swords. You know, of course, Wado Ichimonji will be the one that becomes black. And then after that, he would have cut Diamond in some way. Maybe, I don't know, Venus has some kind of diamond technique. And then he fights Mihawk. Like, it just makes so much sense to me.
Yep. And there's another thing when it comes to Zoro's blades as well. So Zoro, him having 3 swords, Oda said it kind of started as a meme because Musashi was a legendary swordsman who dual-wielded swords. So he said he wanted to make Zoro even cooler, so he gave him 3 blades. And it's like, okay, that's nice and all, but there's also like some history to it as well, because so the grading sword system that's in One Piece is actually a real system in the real world, which, you know, sounds a little bit redundant there, but there are like actual supreme graded blades that exist. And a long time ago, I believe it had the same number as the number of named blades in One Piece. It lines up 1 to 1. But what's interesting is that book got revised, and later on, they added 3 supreme grade blades to their blade list. And I'm like, yo, like Zoro, all of his swords right now, like Enma, whether it be the Nidai or Shodai Kitetsu, as well as the Wado Ichimonji, I wouldn't be surprised if Oda follows suit with the revision, and he turns all of Zoro's blades into either black blades, or he adds them onto the list of supreme grade blades by the end of the story, which would be really nice. Like, you know, it just makes sense that Zoro would have supreme grade blades, because all of the top tiers in the world have one, whether it be Roger, Whitebeard, Mihawk. Like, Zoro beating Mihawk, nice and all. Everybody can see that coming in the future. It is like a canon event. But it would be strange if he beats Mihawk and Zoro doesn't have like that status upgrade as well when it comes to his blades. So I think that will happen. And I think defeating V Nasujiro could be what solidifies that, right? You know, you beat the Gorosei, you change the system, all of a sudden all three of your blades, they're supreme grade. You know, like we'll give you that upgrade.
Wow. I didn't think about that, but that also makes sense. Yeah, he makes Wado Ichimonji at minimum. You know, maybe the other ones too, but Wado Ichimonji at minimum, he turns it into a supreme grade blade. That's amazing. I like that.
Yep, I wish I had the name of the actual real life book on hand, but if you do look it up, like Oda did base it off of a real thing. So I just thought it was so fascinating how they added 3 supreme grade blades after the book was published, and I was like, yo, that perfectly lined up for Zoro. Like, it's pretty much written in stone.
Yeah, and I'm not putting that past Oda, because he's somehow reading every book that's ever existed somehow, and then
I don't know how he's doing that, dude.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's doing whatever Cat Williams was doing. That's a deep cut
yeah.
Joe Rogan joke for anybody out there.
Oh man.
But that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think about this stuff in the comments, and also still let me know the name of the sword seller from
I found it.
Loketown.
I have it.
Okay, what is it? If you made it this far, here's a spoiler.
Ippon Matsu.
What is it?
Ippon Matsu.
Ippon Matsu. Okay.
Yes.
Ippon Matsu.
I completely forgot about that loser. He's not a loser, but you know, like it's a crazy name.
Yeah, well,
you
I
know?
mean, he has a
back in
clown
Logtown.
haircut.
Nobody liked this guy. Yeah, nobody liked him back on Logtown.
I mean, maybe
he was just kind of there.
I was gonna say maybe nobody liked him in Wano. That's why he left.
Yeah, yeah. He was kicked out. He's like, well, I guess I'm gonna go sell swords in the East Blue then, the weakest sea. Whatever.